online guest lecture of Vishisht. I welcome our Managing Director, Dr. Naveen Narang sir, and Director, Dr. S.M. Anas Iqbal sir. Education is not the learning of facts, but the training of mind to think. With this famous quote, I would like to welcome our today's special guest, Dr. Astha Bhanott ma'am, in this online session. Assistant Professor at College of Business and Administration at Princess Norah bin Abdul Rahman University, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. She has over 18 years experience in teaching and academic research. Being a tech-savvy tutor, she also has over 3 years teaching experience in online university. She has received two awards from GSIR Foundation at international level and a national award by Pride of Indian Education Awards. Accomplished with conducting many workshops at Princess Norah bin Abdul Rahman University, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and chaired the technical session in 6th International Conference at Vishisht School of Management in Indore. She has over 19 years of research experience as a reviewer and editor. Being international committee member, her research papers and articles are also published in many national and international journals. Today, we are honored to have an opportunity to listen and adapt from her on topic students' engagement through e-learning. E-learning has completely transformed the way in which learning is imparted to students. Unlike traditional chalk and board method of teaching, e-learning makes learning simpler, easier, and more effective. Now I request our director, sir, Dr. S.M. Anas Iqbal, for welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Naman. A very cherished and pleasant good afternoon, everyone. I, on behalf of this School of Management, warmly welcome today's esteemed speaker, Dr. Astha from Saudi Arabia. We also welcome all the participants, all academicians, researchers, students who are connected and who are going to be participate in this webinar. I welcome our Managing Director, Dr. Naveen Narang. As today's topic, that is student engagement through e-learning. That is a very important topic because after COVID-19, most of people there's a paradigm shift from the physical classroom to the e-learning platforms, online classes. So there's a two component importantly. One is the applications or the platform where we are taking the classes, we are conducting the classes. And second thing, how we can engage our student, how can attract our student, and how we have to manage the student, our classrooms. It is a new kind of teaching pedagogy that there's a certain applications where we can attract more and more, we can more make our classroom in a discussion form. That is a new way. So we have to be learn this new techniques, how to manage the classes and how we make the engagement of the student through the e-learning. So it is a very relevant topic today, and I hope you all people will enjoy and learn a lot from Dr. Astha ma'am. Thank you so much. Once again, I welcome you all. Over to Naman.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like ma'am to deliver her lecture through PPT.
Thank you so much. Can I share my slides now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good afternoon, all of you. I would like to thank you, the Vishisht School of Management, for giving me this opportunity, that whatever experience I have gained through an online teaching, I'm sharing it with my colleagues, the people who are working in India. And it's my privilege to do that, because I have learned a lot when I was teaching in Saudi Electronic University. It is an online university in India. So with my experience, I would like to share all these experiences, what I have learned, with all of you, so that if you are facing any difficulty or any obstruction is coming while teaching through the online resources, we can discuss, and we can take out a solution for that. I would like to thank Dr. Iqbal for giving me this opportunity, and I would like to welcome all the students, its teachers, professors, all senior teachers who all are present for this guest lecture. Now, I'll be starting with first of all, I would like to quote, e-learning is the need of an hour right now. As all of us know that we were going through a lockdown phase, and there were no physical presence of students and teachers in the colleges, in the classrooms. So now, because of this, we have to turn our way towards, and I know there is a lot many techniques and the technology which we are using, but we are not very used to this, because as all of us know that we are more comfortable with whatever we are doing. And we are normally doing our lectures through physical appearances inside the classroom, that is face to face teaching with our students. So now we have to turn this, and we have to come up with so this is the need of an hour right now. Now, the big concept of e-learning is, that is, we have to be more empathize with our students, because we don't know what situation they are facing. Actually, what happens is, this is the biggest concept which I have come through, because the reason is, India, people are using lot of technology. They are using mobile, but the reason we are not very comfortable with teaching aids. That is, even the students are not comfortable. If we ask our students to upload an assignment or to give the presentation online, they are not very comfortable, because the reason is they are using WhatsApp, they are using Facebook and other social media channels, but they are not using the education techniques which we need to emphasize on more, and we have to be more comfortable with that. Because now, after this, what I think is, this is my personal perception, that after this COVID has been finished, most of universities, colleges, they are going to go with this online resources, because the reason is they are very, very easy to use. And when we are used to these types of technologies, we feel more comfortable. So, and we have to empathize with our students. We are teachers, and we have to keep ourselves in place of our students, and we have to see how they will be reacting, how they will be working. I know that this situation is new for everybody, whether it is a teacher or a student. But we are teachers, we are motivators, guiding our students. So if we are sound enough, if we have this technology knowledge, the knowledge which is technical, we have this knowledge, we can share it with our students, and we can motivate our students to work on this type of technology. So you have to emphasize more on e-technology and e-learning, so that your students can also come up. They can be comfortable. If you are comfortable, then your students will also be comfortable with that. Then the next is, the process is very easy for e-learning actually. Now, when we are doing a face-to-face station in the class or during the class, we have to deal with many different things. But when we are teaching through e-learning, I found that it is more comfortable because you are not facing your students directly. And when you are not facing your students directly, you have more ideas of how to deal with them. So I have come up with 3 things. These are the 3 things which you should keep in mind when you are doing the e-learning. When you are teaching your students through electronic channel. That is interaction with the content. That means whatever you are going to teach to your students, whatever the content or the syllabus or your course content is, you should be thorough with that. If you don't have the knowledge about the content, then you cannot give them different types of options, which we will see in the upcoming slides. Then you have to be very interactive with the learners. That is, you need to interact with your learners, your students. If you're not interacting with your students, they will not be comfortable. They will not be happy. Not happy, they are not satisfied. So they will say, oh, it is a waste of time. It is just, we will see the recorded lectures or something like that. And we will see Google and do our assignments, do our work like that way. So you need very you need to be very interactive with your learners. Then you have to have an interaction with your peers, because this is the main important criteria of your peers. Because what happens, whatever your peers are doing, whatever your colleagues are doing, you can just exchange your ideas. Okay, I have given them a suppose if I am giving my assignments, my other colleague is giving a case study, we can discuss, okay, how are you solving? How are you dealing with your students? So when you interact with your peers, it becomes more easy. So because normally what happens, what I have seen is, teachers normally don't discuss too much because they don't want to tell their technique of teaching, how they are dealing inside the class. So this is what one of the drawbacks of teachers are. Uh, so with the e-learning, you need to interact with your peers. If you interact with your peers, you will learn a lot. And when you will be learning a lot, you can share it with your students. You have different ideas, you have different concepts which you can share it with your students, and your students will become happy with that, and they will be more satisfied with that learning. So these are the 3 basic things which you should keep in mind when you are doing an e-learning process. That is, first of all, have a thorough knowledge of your content, then interact with your learners, that students, and also interact with your peers. So I think so till here, whatever I have discussed is clear to everybody. Can I move further?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Then first of all, after understanding the concept, what is the process? The next thing is, know your students by their name. If you know the students by their name, actually, I'll just share a small incident with you. This incident was being in India itself. Normally, what happens, I recall the names of my students a lot. So that was during face class, not an e-learning class. And all of a sudden, it was, I think so, the starting of the session, and it was just the second or the third class. And I took a name of one of my student, he was a boy, and I told him, you did that in the campus. And he was shocked to hear that. Teacher, how do you know? Ma'am, how do you know that I was the person who was doing that in the campus, in the ground? So I said, see, first of all, I have to see my students' face in the first class. In the second class, I try to remember their names. And in the third class, I get hold of the person or the student who is doing something mischievous inside the campus or inside the class. So this becomes very, very easy to find or hold or catch your student with the working, whether it is in the good aspect or whether it is in the bad aspect. So if you know the names of your students, you can find out. They will, when you are alert with your students, the students also becomes very alert with you. So this is the first thing which you should keep in mind when you are doing the e-learning concept. Then give different types of activities. Engage your students with different types of activities, because if you give them different types of activities, they will not be bored. Because what happens when they come in face-to-face class, when they are physically present, when you are physically present, they are being more towards the teaching as compared to the e-learning. In e-learning, what is happening? You're just giving a lecture, they are listening to it, sometimes they are even not listening to it, and they move out and they don't learn anything. But when you give different types of activities, we'll be discussing in the upcoming slides, if you have different types of activities, they will be hearing you, trying to understand what you are trying to explain them during the class. So this is very important. And finally, the third one is track their performance. Like if they have done any activity, you should be able to give them feedback and track how much work the girl has done, or how much the student has done the work, or how much that particular boy has done. And as I told you, if you are very active, your students will also be active. So if you track the performance of your students, you are very active with that. Find out which student is working hard and which student is not working hard. And when you try to find out these things, it becomes very easy for you to have an e-learning, or you can explain them or take the classes with that electronic medium. Then we have, let's review some of the concepts. What are the concepts of e-learning are? First of all, trigger the knowledge. Whatever knowledge the students have, suppose if you upload the syllabus or if you upload some slides or something, so ask your students to have a look of that, what you are going to teach in the upcoming session or upcoming class online. And then you should find out how much knowledge do they have related to that. Ask small questions or discuss something. What do you know about this particular thing? Like suppose, tell me, what do you mean by management? What are the principles of management? What's planning? Just small types of questions, so that you can understand what is the knowledge do they have, and how much knowledge do they have, at what level you have to go and teach them according to that. Then ask them to share their challenges with you and your classmates and with the classmates. Because suppose, don't ask them what my student is facing during the e-learning or during the online classes. So he or she is going to say, see, my teacher is not at all concerned, so I don't need to, if I'm absent also, no problem, I will just see the recorded lecture, and I will do my assignments, or I will do my work. And this will not be good for the student as such. Then we have the next point is, that is, have their goals in mind when teaching them online. So just keep in your mind that what are the goals, or what are the things which you have to tell them, through by sharing them. Then if you know their goals, what are the goals, then it becomes very easy for the students also to understand, and even the teachers to teach them. Then connect and interact with them. So you need to connect with them. Sometimes you have to harsh with them when they are not working or when they are not listening to you, or you have to be very friendly. Okay, I will do the work, I will help you out, I will give you some suggestions how to do this work. These are the more important things. Then we have the next one. The next is, use real life scenarios. Like just give them the example, such as, if you are a manager, just ask your student, if you are a manager, what are you going to do next? If you are a recruiting agent, what are you going to do next? Just take out so that they have the things to analyze. They know how to do critical thinking, and they can think further behind that. Then we have the next is find out what their interests are and stimulates them to learn more. So when you are discussing more and more with your students, like I told you before also, that you need to understand what is the need of your student. So if you are going to have more interaction with them, it will be more helpful for you and for your students to collaborate, have a teaching learning process. Then show them how to learn. Like I told you, you have to connect with your students. I just shared it right now, that if you just take an example, that if by chance you need to explain something to your student, if you want a case study, that my students should solve a case study, the questions of those answers should be given by my students. So first of all, you need to go and do it by yourself. Take one case study and as an example in the class, and then ask your students to do it. Give another case study to them to do it online. So this is how, show them how to learn. And in the same way, you can give projects, you can give different types of assignments. These are the different things. Show them how to do that. Then after that, the next is, okay, think before starting your e-learning class, that is e-learning ideas. So this is basically divided into two things. First of all is rethink your lecture format and build a community. These are the two important things, because normally what we are doing is, when we were taking face-to-face or physical class, we used to just go inside and we used to give our lecture, take the attendance, and tell them this is your homework or this is your assignment or something like that, and we used to come out. But in the e-learning process, you need to think, because the reason is you are not face to face. The student is not scared of you, that how the, okay, if I'm not listening to my teacher, no problem. The teacher is not going to take any action against me. She's not going to shout. She's not going to scream. She's not going to say anything. But you need to understand how you are going to engage your students. You need to have a more proper format for your lecture, that okay, 5 minutes I'm going to do this, 5 minutes I'm going to do this, 10 minutes I'm going to explain this. And in that way you can just have a format of your lecture. Prepare it beforehand. It's not that you just log in, you just come, you ask your students to come online, just give a lecture, blah 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 blah, and finish it off. No, you're not going to do that. You have to be prepared. If you are taking a 40-minute lecture, okay, 10 minutes is for my introduction about the topic, 5 minutes for question and answers, how much the students have learned before, and then finally it will be like, okay, now this is the proper lecture which I am going to deliver it. And then after that for 20 minutes, after giving the delivery of the lecture for 20 minutes, just give a 5 minutes for question and answers, so that they can ask you that this is the problem. Teacher, can you just tell us? Ma'am, can you just tell us? Doctor, can you just tell us what do you mean by this and this? So this is how you're going to rethink your lecture format completely, so that the students are also aware, or they are very, very active in the online class. Second concept is, that is, build a community. Why do we need to build a community? Because right now, as I told you, the student will not be very active, because he or she knows that my teacher cannot do anything, my teacher cannot scream, my teacher cannot shout, or she cannot do anything, she cannot punish or he cannot punish me. So in that sense, you need to build a community. Means a small groups, because when they are working in groups, they have to be more active. Suppose, I'll just give you an example. If I give a project to a group, there are 5 members, and in group they have divided part A, B, C, D, E. There are 5 parts, and all of them need to do each. That is, A for student number 1, student number 2 will do B, student number 3 will do C, student number 4 will do D, and student number 5 will do the E part. So they cannot further. Okay, they cannot go further until and unless they don't understand the whole concept. So they need to understand the whole concept and then work on it. So that is why, if they given small parts, they need to link all those parts, and then they can work in a group. So this is how your e-learning or your electronic learning becomes very easy when you build groups. So the 2 things which you have to remember being a teacher when you are doing an e-learning, that is, read your lecture format and build your community. Then we have the next slide. The next thing is, that is, this is what I was discussing about. Engage your students by segmenting lectures into short sequences. You are give short sequences, short forms, not as we are doing it in the face-to-face class. We just go inside the class, give a lecture of 40 minutes and come out. You're not going to do that. You are just going to trigger the questions to them. You are going to ask the questions to them. Then you are going to just discuss few things, give your explanation in the class, and ask them the questions, so that small parts, segments can be divided into small lectures, so that their understanding becomes. Otherwise, they will not be very active, or they will not get attracted towards the e-learning. Then the next point is, that is, check comprehension by asking quick questions that test whether students understood the key lessons in the short lecture segment. As I told you, you have to divide your lecture form, and you will be asking short questions so that you can know how much they have the understanding. But remember not to overload your slides with the content or overload lecture material. As I told you, suppose if you need to complete there are different concepts, and if you need to complete all concepts, the student will not be able to understand all 3 concepts. If you are going to suppose teach 3 concepts in one class, it is not possible for the student to understand 3 concepts. What you should do is, you should break your lecture. You should take 2 concepts in one class, and then in the second class you should concept and then overview of the whole class, which that is the 3 concepts, and ask them the questions. So you should have a proper format for your lectures. You should not overload those material into it. Then work through step-by-step examples. Like you are giving examples with each and every concept, it becomes very easy for the students to understand. Don't teach them too much, but whatever you are teaching, just explain them through the examples, so that it's very easy for them to understand what the teacher is trying to explain them. Then maximize access to material for your students. So just try to give them lot of material. Like nowadays, and because of this e-learning concept, after this lockdown and during this COVID period, many publishers, many authors are sharing their books. So take out, suppose if you want to explain planning, so take out, what do you mean by planning? What is the concept of planning? 3 or 4 online books. Take a screenshot of that and share it with your students, so that they are understanding. If they are reading planning of, suppose, from one author, he or she is not able to understand, your student is not able to understand, she will go for another author. Maybe she will understand from another author. Or if she's not able to understand from two authors, you can give the third author. So that is why try to have maximum material of the same thing and share it with your students. Then the next slide, that is, as I told you, build community. Build community. Encourage your students to take advantage of discussion. That is, many students are not very active. They have a lot of knowledge, but they cannot discuss, they cannot speak, they cannot write. They have knowledge, but they cannot do that. So try to encourage your students to discuss. There are some students who are discussing a lot, but they are not discussing what is required. That is your online class or whatever you are trying to teach them. So this is how we just try to understand this advantage of discussion based features. Then just try to have office hours, virtual office hours, because what this is going to help you and your students as well. So they will be more engaged. Like I told you when I lecture, I said that if you are very active, your students will also be very active. So in that sense, you have to be physically present for them. Physically present means through virtual office hours. You can just create a Google class, or you can create a Zoom class or Microsoft Teams, these types, and then you can sit for 1 hour, 2 hours in a week, and you can give this time to your students that I'm sitting online. If you have any queries, I'm available for your questions, for your queries. You can just contact me through this link. So this is what your virtual office hours means, and this will be very helpful for your students to get engaged. Then encourage to keep in touch with each other. Like normally, you might have seen in face-to-face classes, the students are very isolated. They are happy with themselves. See, I have done my homework, I have done my assignment, it's done, it's completed. No. But when they are working online, as I told you, build a community. You should work in a group. You should ask your students group. You yourself should work with your peers, what they are doing, how they are doing. So this is how it helps in learning more and more, getting more and more of knowledge. So sorry. So this is how you are going to encourage your students also to keep in touch and interact with each other. How? Like suppose if there is a student who doesn't know how to upload an assignment, if or he is uh, having a group, so they can learn from each other how to do this work. So this helps, encourages them or motivates them to work like that way. Then we have things to keep in mind for e-learning. That is, use your students exploring editing and creative skills. Like I know I have in India also, and I know the students are very, very, very creative. If I ask my students, there were few groups of students who were working, like if I used to tell them, prepare a PPT and you have to give a presentation. They used to make a video with a very good sound, music and all the things, and then they used to present. Actually, I should bring this, that I learned a lot from my students as well, because many students are very creative, and you need to explore them. You need to find out which student have which type of creativity, so that it enhances his or her creativity and come up with that. Then you have to solicit your questions. Solicit your questions means you have to form a proper question, a formal question, and then you have to ask your students. This will be helping them to understand or obtain that what is going inside the class. Then you need to support your students. Support your students, like you should not pressurize them a lot, because as we all know that the type of situation our students are facing or we are facing. Just giving you an example, if I don't have a laptop and my college or university asked me to take an online class, there will be lot of pressure. I will be in lot of stress, how I'm going to do, how I'm going to arrange things and all those things. Now see, when I'm a matured person, I'm an adult person, I can under so much of stress. Then my students, our students are so young, they are not matured, they will be doing all wrong things, or they can end up with a depression or something like that. So you should support your students. Okay, we are going to extend the time limit, no problem, we are going to manage. I am your teacher, I am understanding, no issues, you can submit your assignment late, just try to or you can ask another student to help your this particular student who doesn't have a laptop or who is not able to understand what is the concept or what is the how he or she is going to prepare the assignment or case study or something like that. So try to support your students as much as you can do. Then highlight your students' individual experience. You can highlight what are their experiences and you can share them in the class. Then set clear expectations. You have to tell them. Now suppose if I give a question to them in the assignment or a case study to them in the and ask them to write an answer, I will just give a question and I will say write the answer. To specify each and everything. I need to specify in the sense, I have to tell them what should be the font size, what should be the margin, what should be the spacing of each and everything inside the document. I have to tell them what should be the word limit, so that it is not, it should be equal and same for each and every student. Because here we have to keep all our students at the same pace. We don't have to differentiate them. So you need to be very, very clear with your expectations. What are your expectations from your students? Then the next point is interact with students as they work. As I told you, if you are very active, your students will also be very. So you need to interact with them. Okay, if I have given my student a project work, and I ask that group after 1 week, okay, tell me how much you have worked. So they will be aware. Yes, my teacher asked me, and we need to work as a group, as a team. So after 2 weeks again, I ask them. If they have not done in the first week, they will finally do it in week, and they will come up with something. So you need to interact with your students. Then emphasize in the group projects. As I told you, in group projects or in the group work, they will be working more and they will be learning more. So this is very, very important. These are the main things which you have to keep in mind when you are taking electronic class or when you are teaching them. Then there are few more things like communicate regularly with your students, because it will be motivating them to work hard. Keep it short, simple and clear. As I told you that it should not be very lengthy or very heavy material to teach them. Try to minimize it, give them lot of material, extra material, or so that they can learn more about that, increase their motivation. Just try them, just try to convince them. No, you can do it, you will be able to do it. You have to convince them, you have to motivate them, and encourage a collaborative learning environment from online groups for synergy. It will be helpful for them to gain the energy and work in an online groups. So this is very important. Try to encourage a collaborative learning. Foster competition amongst the students, because this particular thing, when they are working in a groups, so if they see that one group is working hard or they are working very nicely, they are working very nicely, so other group is also going to be motivated with that particular thing. So they have to have a competition amongst themselves. Then go beyond the factual information. Go beyond the factual information is what are the facts. You have to go beyond that and you have to work with that. As I told you, in the face-to-face class, you are very formal. But in e-learning class, you need to be a little bit informal also. You have to be more friendly with your students so that they are motivated, they learn a lot, as I told you, you do the work and then explain them, this is how you're going to do. So this is what the factual information is all about. Provide timely and effective feedback. As I told you, if you are active, your students will also be active. So if you provide them the feedback, suppose if the student has done an assignment, suppose in the month of July, you have given one assignment to them, and you keep the pending assignment, you don't check that assignment till October or till November, and in September, they have another assignment. So how will they get to know that what my teacher wanted and what I have done? What is the grading system? How you have graded them? So you need to be very active. You have to give them a feedback and try to do it as soon as possible so that they can make up that whatever problem or whatever faults they have done in the first assignment, they don't repeat second assignment which you are going to give in September. So this is how you are going to give them timely or effective feedback should be given. Choose the most effective teaching methodology. Which type of, you all are teachers and you know there are different types of teaching methodology. Which teaching methodology is suitable for you and for your students? You have to understand that and you have to follow that. This is very important. Then we have the next one, basic things to remember for your e-learning. As I told you, you have to be very, very patient with your student. You have to show your patience over here. You should not be very aggressive. You have to be very cool and calm with your students. Don't expect too much from your students because, as I told you, they are learning right now with this e-learning technology. And with this technology, don't expect too much with your students. Understand the situations. Do not give them too much of assignments. If you give them too many assignments, if every month I'm giving assignment, how will they follow up? How will they complete? Whether they will learn through the e-learning classes, the lectures which I'm providing, or they are going to go for the assignments. So you have to see that you don't give too many assignments also to them. Try to add more creative assignments. Or creative assignments means which are critical based thinking questions or which are case studies. You need to analyze their thinking, what more they can learn or what more they can have more knowledge about that particular topic. So try to give them these types of creative assignments. Try to convince your students your assignments or discussions from Google or any website. Just try to convince your students that, see, whatever you are writing, write small. If I'm just giving you an example. What I normally do it with my students is, see, if you copy from Google or from any website and you are copying 1,000 words, it's of no use because you have not learned what do you mean by that? You are just copy and pasting it in the document. That's it. But what I try to motivate my students is, that is, you just try to see that Google, go to Google, try to find out what they are trying to explain you and write it in your own words. If I ask you 300 words and you are writing it in 200 words also, but it is in your own words, whether there is grammar mistake, there is spelling mistake, there is no proper sentence formation or anything. But if you have written your own, I will consider that. That is more important. Try to convince your students not to copy the assignments from here and there. Try to convince them and tell them, write on your own, write less, but it should be in your own words. It should be your understanding, what you have understood. So this will be much more better for your teaching and learning. Encourage them to write on their own instead of copying it from somewhere or from someone. Try to use, that is plagiarism. You might be aware about the plagiarism word. Try to convince them not to plagiarize and explain them the term plagiarism. What do you mean by plagiarism? And when they are convinced, they know it is not ethical, it is not correct, they will try to write it on their own. They will never copy it from here and there. Activities for online education. These are the different types of activities we can do with our students for online. That is, you can have a face-to-face discussion, like you can just have a Zoom class, or you can have a Google class, you can have Teams, Microsoft Teams. There are many softwares available. Go to Google and search softwares for teaching online classes. You can download that, you can create a class, and you can just share it with your students. So you have face-to-face classes. Then you can go to your discussion forums. There are discussion forums available. You can give them assignments. I'll just share a few things with you in the upcoming slides also. Then there are discussion forums. There are assignments. You can give them case studies. You can give them project work. You can coursework like online courses. Ask them to do the online courses and give you the certificates and give them grades.
Sir,
I think
ma'am has lost connection.
there is some net connection issue.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll just share my slides again. I'm sorry, there was some interruption in between. Can you see my slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you have some online courses available, and you can ask your students those online courses and bring the certificates to you. And when they bring the certificates, give them some grades so that even they are happy. They have learned something else, something other than that. This is what I'm doing with my students, and I'm saying, I'm not praising that, but this is what even my students say. Teacher, I learn a lot from you, and I even avoid the course which I did, which you told me to do it. And they are having two things now. They are having the actual course which they have done with me in the class, and they also have another certificate which adds to the resume or to the CV, which is very helpful for them. Then there are podcasts. You can go for podcast. You can give them short scenarios. You can give them stimulations. Stimulations are type of games which are available online. So you can give them stimulations, and you can give them presentations, so that even their presentation skills becomes good when they move out after your course. So these are the different types of activities you can do it with your students when you are going online or your e-learning resources. Then we have I have just took out some websites, online websites. So let's start with different websites that can be used for e-learning. Sir, do we have more time?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Because I just wanted to complete as much as I can, because I think so it will be helpful for the teachers. So I can share these links with you, or if you want, you can take a screenshot of this. The teachers can take a screenshot of this, and they can use it for their future purpose, for their interactive learning, e-learning classes. So these are some of the open access resources which are available. So following is the list of some of the best ICT initiatives with their access to links, which are used in India as well as in abroad. You can see this. This is a national digital. This is from IIT Kharagpur. You can go to this and you can find there are lectures available, recorded lectures of IIT teachers. Then there is SWAM online courses. The SWAM online course is also very, very effective and very useful for the students. Like I told you, give them courses and ask them to bring the certificate. So these SWAM online courses, this is run by MHRD, Human Resource Ministry. So you can go to these, and IIT, IIMs, they have a link with this SWAM online courses. So your students are going to learn from you, as well as they can learn from these different types of sources. Then Knowledge Neptil, Infoport, Talks to Teacher, AView, Virtual Labs, Fossey, spoken tutorials. You have eMantra, eKalpa, NCRT textbooks. Then you have EPG Pathshala, eContent. So there are so many websites available. If you, I can share this with all of you. And if you want, you can take a screenshot of this. So I have almost taken out, you can see, almost 4 slides I have kept it for all these e-learning resources. These are the free accessible resources which are available in India and in abroad. You can see Sprinkler Open Journals, are Taylor and Francis Open Journals. So these are Oxford, Cambridge, all of them are providing a direct open access to you and for your students. You can see here, there are almost 46 websites which I have kept it. So if you want, I can share it also. So these are different online resources which are available right now due to this COVID and lockdown situation all over the world. So take advantage of this and ask your students to get enrolled in these types of courses that they can learn more. Then we have, as I told you, I just took an example of Google Classroom. Here we are using Blackboard. Blackboard is one of the softwares like Google Classroom, but Blackboard is payable and Google Classroom is free of cost. You can use this Google Classroom for your e-learning. I think so many of the teachers might be using Google Classroom also. So there are videos. These are the videos. You can just take a screenshot of this and you can learn online how to create a Google Classroom, how to create an assignment, how to grade those assignments, how the students are going to submit those assignments. Like I told you, you do it on your own. Explain it to your students, and when you are doing it on your own, your students get attracted towards that. Yes, my teacher is very active, even I need to work hard for that. And this is how you can generate your Google Forms. You can have a UGC care list, ask them to create an Orchard ID which is linked to your Scopus, because there may be many who are doing post-graduation, who are doing research work, which will be helpful for them. So use how to use Mendeley Reference Manager. So these are some of the websites which will be helping you and your students for the e-learning techniques. So here I have finished off my lecture. If you have any query, I can solve, I can try to help you out with that. And I hope it might be fruitful for your e-learning classes and the things.
Ma'am, there are a few questions in the chat box.
I'll just take one by one. I'll try to cover all the questions. I'll start from the first actually. Mr. Premlal is saying that e-learning is not possible in rural areas due to network and economically expensive. Please explain, because most of the students are from rural areas. Kindly explain. Okay, what you can do is, I know there is problem of network. So what you can do is, you can record your lectures and upload it on YouTube. And when you can upload it on the YouTube, you can share that link with your students. They are not able to be available face to face. Like right now, we are having a type of a meeting. So if it is not available for them, they can just go to YouTube channel and they can access that YouTube channel and understand what you tried to explain in the class. So you can record these types of lectures through PPT, convert them into MPEG. Right? These are all the process which we have done. So you can convert that and you can then share it through a YouTube channel. Not only your students are going to have a look at this YouTube channel. In fact, many students might be searching about, suppose, principles of marketing. So if you share this link with your student, maybe there will be hundreds of students who wants to know about principles of marketing. Even they can have advantage of this your YouTube channel. So I think so this query is solved for you. Then the next one is, okay, I'll be sharing this PPT. I will share this PPT to Vishisht School of Management and they can just forward it if you want. Then anything else?
And there is a question from Dr. Yogita ma'am. In the last survey, it was said that attention capacity in learning mode is less than 3 seconds only. Then how to retain students for longer duration?
Just a minute. I'll just, where she has written, I'll just read it and I'll try to explain.
I think ma'am will not get the question because there was an
that is visible to everyone.
Okay. No, I'm not able to get the question.
Ma'am, I just repeat it once again.
The question?
Yeah, this question is from Dr. Yogita Mandane. In the latest survey, it was said that attention capacity is less than 3 seconds only. Then how to retain the students for longer duration?
See, we are also teachers. These researches, I don't blame anybody, but these researches are sometimes not accurate. Even we are sitting here for almost 1 hour. Have you ever noticed that you are not able to understand anything? Have you, was it less than 3 seconds, minutes? I don't think so. So how can you comment that directly? As I told you, these are just researches. And these are just on the basis of the researches. We cannot comment anything directly like that. So we are teachers. We have to be very positive, as I told you, and we have to try to motivate us to learn as much as they can. And we can record our lectures and we can share our lectures with our students. If they are not able to understand my face-to-face lecture, they can listen or they can hear that lecture 10 more times afterwards also.
If anybody have any more questions, kindly unmute and ask directly to the man.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Thank you for a very informative session, ma'am. I just have one query about what exactly this podcast is all about. You have mentioned in your presentation about the podcast.
Yeah.
So can you throw some light about it, what exactly it is?
Yeah, podcast is basically a type of a recording. I think so you might be hearing FM radio, right?
Yes, yes.
FM radio, it is just a type of recording. It is not a virtual thing. It is not face-to-face. The students are going to record their opinion and just post it online. It is a type of a podcast.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Anything else?
If any of the participants have any question, they may please unmute themselves and ask.
Excuse me, madam.
Questions from Professor
Yes.
Lakshmi. How can we implement it for the student for long time?
What? How can we?
Implement it or IT?
It's it only.
for the student for long time.
Sir, your voice is breaking. I can't hear the words in between.
Lakshmi sir, you can directly ask from them.
Sir, there is one question from, I suppose. Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Sir. Good afternoon. I Professor Lakshmi Vishwal here. Can you hear me? Hello.
सर आपका माइक थोड़ा सा आपके पास में ले जाइए so that it will be easy.
Can you hear me? Hello. Can you hear me?
Astha ma'am, can you hear, sir?
Yeah, I can hear, but the voice is. Yes, tell me.
Okay. My question is that how we can implement it for the long-term point of view, in the sense how it can be implemented for long-term basic for the students.
Somebody is talking at the back, so I can't hear you.
How we can implement it upon the students for the long-term basics.
So can you write if it is possible for you?
Excellent.
Till the time we can take next question.
Yeah.
Excuse me, madam. Excuse me, madam.
Yes, sir.
Yes, madam. Myself, Premlal Jagati. I am the head of the department in Malwa Institute of Science and Technology.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I am asking question. Many students are now currently living in the rural area, and they are unable to come in the network area. So how they can get a recorded video on YouTube or any other means?
See, sir, this is an online thing, online teaching. So online teaching needs to have some or the other connectivity. Like I told you, if they are not able to be present for the face-to-face class, they have to arrange in 24 hours or in 2 days or 3 days. They need to come to some place where the network is available, because without network, that is why, as I told you, why we are ahead of India. Like I'm talking about Saudi Arabia. Like the reason is we have very good network and we have very good technology as compared to India or any other developing countries or underdeveloped countries. So this is what the government needs to take the initiative to give the accessibility of internet to each and every person in rural area as well. We as teachers can do only record the lecture, provide them extra material for the students so that they can study at home, they can have an offline classes or something like that.
Thanks, madam.
My pleasure, sir.
Ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, the question from Lakshminda sir is how we can implement the e-learning for long-term basis to attract the student for their benefit.
Yes. See, sir, long-term benefit is basically like right now we are using like previously I was working in Saudi Electronic University. It was an online university, and in online university we used to take one class face to face and another class was virtual, like we are doing it right now, and all the assignments and everything was done online. Like as I told you, we were using Blackboard, so assignments were called through Blackboard. We used to check them, we used to give them the feedback, and the students were happy with that. So this is a long-term process, this is not a short-term process. So it is you and your college or university needs to balance this particular thing. They need to purchase these softwares and work on those softwares, and they can just use, like right now also after COVID, when everything is again back to normal, you can take face-to-face classes, your university, your college can take access, they can purchase these types of softwares where you can use them as the instructor, as the teacher, and your students will be given an ID and they can submit their assignments or they can do the discussion forums online. So the universities or the colleges needs to purchase these types of softwares.
And there is another question. How can we conduct effectively on online
Online,
case study session?
yeah,
Online
uh,
case study session.
online case study session. This is basically when you are, as I told you, you need to explain each and everything to your. First of all, try to explain the case to them. Each and every line should be taught them like a small child. When we ask a child to learn A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, in the same way, we need, because as I told you, we are not face to face. And we don't, sometimes we are not able to understand what is the expression. Like right now, many of you have switch on your cameras. I can see the faces, I can see the expressions, but for others, I cannot see the expressions. So I don't know whether my colleagues or whether these teachers who are not online, they are able to understand that or not. The same thing happens with the students. So we need to explain them each and everything, even a thing. We need to explain them and then take the questions, try to give them the answers of the questions, uh, correlated with the concept, and then they can uh, after that give them the case study and tell them to solve that case study. I think so this will be helpful for them, because this is what I told you during my presentation. You have to work and then ask your students to work on that, because if you are not teaching them how to do it, how will they learn? They cannot go to Google for each and every small thing. How can we have a control or check on e-learning to the students? Yeah, uh, this is what one of, you can say, a drawback of learning, e-learning. But yes, you can have a look at that also. Like recently, I'll share a small incident with you. What happened is, we were going through this lockdown situation, and there were many students in my class. As I told you, you need to know names of your students. You need to be very active when you are doing an online teaching or e-learning system. What happened was, one of my students, they complained that the teacher is not giving us proper grades. She doesn't know how to give the grades. And now when I got this query from the head of my department, that the student has emailed me this particular query, and please try to explain them. Then I wrote an email to my head of the department and I told her, see, doctor, the problem is I wrote each and everything on the blackboard. As I told you, we are using blackboard. So there is a announcement and I wrote each and everything on the blackboard. It is the problem of the student who has not read the announcement or the notice. It is like a notice board. She has not read the notice board. She have not attended the classes, online classes. She was not present. And when she was not present, I didn't give her the grades. So you should be active. She should be aware what I am doing. So when, as I told you, I was active, I was very much in line what I want to do. When my students complained, she had no other words, because I sent a screenshot of that announcement to my head of the department. Then my head of the department, student, see, your teacher has sent me this on this particular date at this time. She has posted the announcement. Where were you? Why you didn't attend the class? So how can she give you grades? So that is why I told you, you need to be very, very active with your e-learning process. Anything else?
I think there's no more
No
questions.
more question.
Over to Naman. Please proceed further.
Thank you so much, sir. E-learning has significant benefits over the traditional education and classroom training in today's world. Digital resolution has created a little digital world where everyone can independently deliberate their thought and share it on many media platforms and consume the educational knowledge. Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a lovely interaction. Now I request our Managing Director, Sir Dr. Naveen Narang, to propose vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Astha ma'am, for sparing your time. I know it is these days time is one of the most important factors to consider. So this COVID and this pandemic scenario has given everybody I mean it has basically tossed everything upside down, whether it be the economic front or whether it be the education front. So I think, as rightly said, that online learning is in fact the need of the hour, and it is very difficult how to make the learning more and more interesting for the student. And looking at your slides, a the slides were very interesting. B, your voice tone was very much up to the mark. C, the content was very rich, so we could stay connected. So if we can stay connected to your content, it is very easy for us also to make the students keep connected to the content, because um, I believe that in online learning, with your screen concentration timing and everything comes into, these are the various factors that come into play. So आपने बहुत अच्छे से बताया that how we can include podcasts, team building exercises, team assignments. These are the things that will make the class more interesting, because सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज ये होता है कि स्टूडेंट को क्लास में आना वापस से, बुलाना वापस से, and most of the students should not be in a hide your camera screen mode. Everybody should be active, and that is the sign of a good and interactive class. So I believe your it shows that you have a hands-on experience with doing online things and making the classes more interesting. B, it really shows the depth of the knowledge and how आपने उसको सबके साथ में share किया. That really talks volumes about your experiences and your expertise. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise, because it is very easy to keep your cards close to your chest and keep the knowledge that you have close to yourself, but it is very difficult to disseminate it. And as a good mentor, as a good teacher, that is what our job is. So we should, all of us should, through this lecture, be able to package and process our knowledge in a more effective e-learning platform. So thank you so much, ma'am, for making it easier for us. And I believe these will really help us a lot. Over to you, Naman. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank Dr. Iqbal for giving me this opportunity to share my experiences with Indian teachers, in fact, because I know this is a very difficult time. Like, as I told you, that I have already been working with the online teaching e-learning resources since a long time. But let me be very frank, the students are so smart that they bring so much of trouble to you this e-learning classes. Even I have been in many problems. Like, I shared a small incident. I was very active. So that is why I could have come out with that problem very easily, because I had each and every proof of that. Otherwise, I would be into a very big problem. So I know that the thing difficult for the students as well as for the teachers. It's hats off to the teachers who are, especially in India, who are having lot of problem with the technology. We don't have so much problem as compared to India. But yes, I can understand there is lot of problem, lot of issues with the technology and with the network issues and all those things. So if you have anything, you can get connected to me anytime. I'm always available on my WhatsApp as well as on my email ID. I have shared it with my PPT, and I'll just share this PPT with the Vishisht School of Management, and then they can forward it to the emails, or I don't know how they are going to do that, but I can just share it with them and they can do the needful. Thank you so much to each one of you for making this webinar series or whatever it is, a guest lecture, to be very fruitful. I think so it will be very fruitful for each one of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Now it's time to honor our today's esteemed speaker, Dr. Astha Bhanott, ma'am, by presenting an e-certificate. I request Robin sir to present for that.
Thank you so much. And I really appreciate all the things done from Vishisht School of Management for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you,
Thank
ma'am,
you so
for
much.
today's full lecture. I also thank all the staff members and participants for being a part of this online lecture. Thank you. Thank you so much.